I have daughters. I want them to live, work, and play here. I want people to come from all over the country to live here, to make this city what I think we all aspire it to be. We're pretty comfortable with saying we can't, and if anything, I hope people find this project to give them the ability to say, yeah, we can.
It's the fastest growing sport in America. Easy to learn, difficult to master. And tennis snobs absolutely hate it. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. Yes, quite literally heard of it. We're talking about
pickleball.
Pickleball. Pickleball.
The New York Times recently analyzed nearly 100,000 aerial photographs and found that more than 8,000 tennis courts had been transformed for pickleball. Today, the USTA says at least 10% of tennis courts in America have been taken over and repurposed for pickleball. But in Toledo, Ohio, a different kind of takeover is happening in a giant metal box on the Maumee River.
Where Real Seafood and all those restaurants over there, that was city property. And that's where they stored trucks and salt. And Carty Finkbeiner called me one day, he was the mayor, and said, this is the worst use of riverfront property I've ever seen. We want to clean up the river, we want to make it something for families and fun, and we'd love you to come down and build some restaurants here. And so we did that. Interestingly then, after deciding this was the worst use of riverfront property for this type of thing, what did they do? They built this building, and they moved everything that was over there into this building. So now we're looking at this again, saying this is the worst use of riverfront property.
Several years ago, we went through a benchmarking process to really compare our community, the communities that we compete with across the country. And that exercise showed us one glaring truth, and that we were using the most important investment that we had, an asset that we had, which was our public accessible riverfront, in some of the worst ways possible at that time. And so we committed as a community to change that.
For most of the 20th century, this site had been home to industrial warehouses, owned by various building material and manufacturing companies. In the early 90s, this particular warehouse stored salt piles and trucks for the city, and for the next 20 years, it was known as the Streets, Bridges, and Harbor Building.
Yeah, so the site we're sitting on, not unlike almost every inch of our riverfront, is on top of fly ash or buried old rail lines. I mean, this is a Rust Belt city, and it is almost entirely comprised of our industrial legacy. People didn't have access to the river. They would have had to walk a mile down the road and a half mile back just to get near the water.
Toledo has been trying to develop its riverfront for decades. Investor after investor made promise after promise. Nothing ever seemed to stick. But in April 2017, something new was brewing. Metro Parks Toledo purchased the Marina District across the river and began developing the Glass City River Walk. The plan was to create a greenway to bring the city back to the waterfront. That's where Toledo Pickle comes in. The Metro Parks and the city entered into a public-private partnership with Toledo Pickle to include the building as part of the River Walk, connecting downtown to the Vistula neighborhood.
The Metro Parks does two things, right? We take care of globally ecologically important green space, and then we connect people to it. However, we don't need to carry the torch for activation. This space is not only saves an old building that essentially was 40,000 square feet of riverfront as a garage, but it brings tens of thousands of people to it, getting them outside, coming back downtown again.
I went to Dallas, I went to Kansas City, and looked at some different facilities that were being built. And a lot of them are just pickleball facilities, and I felt like, well, we want to do more than that. So we decided we want to build a family entertainment center. There's pickleball. Down here is going to be a rock climbing wall. And then over here, there'll be some basketball machines, shooting machines, and skee ball. We have a mezzanine over this whole area. We've got 6 courts on this side, only 3 on this side. And we could have squeezed these this way and decided, you know what, let's make this a really nice socializing area. We've got trees, we've got couches and tables and chairs where people can sit and talk. The entire place will be a restaurant. We can deliver to you, you can go pick it up, whatever you want to do.
When we started thinking about the concept and where would we put it in Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan, we could have been off the highway somewhere and could have been a destination place, but you weren't going to impact as many people in the community with that. Being a part of this downtown revitalization was really important for us.
Toledo Pickle is located on the edge of the very first neighborhood in Toledo, Vistula.
One of the things about Vistula neighborhood is there is no third space. There's no public school, there's no library, there's no YMCA. And so when you look at spaces that people feel safe and they want to congregate with their neighbors, like there aren't those spaces in Vistula.
When the idea was first launched to the area, myself, like a lot of others, were pickleball in this area, and I had my reservations about it. And when we talked to a couple of young people, they didn't even know what pickleball was. But I did meet with the owners and the developers, and once they explained it, that it's not just pickleball down there. It can be interactive for everyone in the neighborhood. I'm happy about the development off the river. I am one of those people that believe the liveliness is always around the water. And so when we have development and it's not just a vacant space in the area, that's a good thing because everything around that at some point will be developed.
From a salt and truck warehouse to a communal gathering place, the story of 1030 Water Street is about much more than just an up-and-coming sport.
We're forming partnerships like what you're seeing here tonight to activate all of this space. The goal in a few years is to have the country's best Riverwalk, and I think this facility is an example of how we're going to attain that goal, and I think something we should all be proud of.
3, 2, 1.
This is about breaking down barriers in every conceivable way of that phrasing. We want people to return to the river and celebrate who we are as opposed to who we are not.
Toledo's been a great community to live in, to raise a family. I love it, and I just wanted to see great things happen here.
I don't recognize downtown even from 5 years ago when 10 years ago when I was working down here, and we won't recognize it again in another 5 years, and we're just gonna be a part of it.